Welcome back, Exiles. I've had quite a few questions about leveling the build and some beginner tips to get through the campaign before we get into the endgame version of the build. So I just want to do a quick rundown of how I went through the leveling process and some key items and yeah, basically just how to get there easily. So we're starting Witch, and we are gonna just get damage, as always. This right side is spell damage and fizz damage with some crit. We're gonna start moving our way up here. Early on, I do take this. We really just want as much damage as we can early. And we're gonna head this way. Now, important to note, we are pathing this way because it's next to Cut to the Bone, so you don't have to respec a whole area of the tree later. It is one more point than if we were to go to the left here, but I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. So really, we're just rushing to Ancestral Bond here. If you get to Spell Totem before you get to Ancestral Bond, you can unspec out of these guys here, just to save you some points. But it should be around the same time that you get Ancestral Bond that you'll have Spell Totem. So, right off the bat, as soon as you are able to get Spell Totem, you can get Ancestral Bond going, and that is probably close to the time also that we will be going into our Infernalist, and generally I would start with Grinning Immolation for the very first one. Reason being, Altered Flesh is nice, but it's not damage, and again, we need damage. We want damage, we want to fly through this game. From here, we have a few options. Generally, you're not going to have too much problems with Spirit at this point. I'll go over the items that I use in a bit, but if you don't necessarily need to rush over to Efficient Inscriptions for the increased reservation efficiency, I would start piling on some damage now. Right off the bat, we can get these totem damage and cast speed nodes here. There's some easily accessible crit nodes here. Yeah, I think there's this little crit wheel here. But generally, I would say go for the damage first, and then head over here to Efficient Inscriptions. And next to Efficient Inscriptions, we got these nodes here as well. So that's a lot of damage right there. And this is generally your skeleton, right? This is what we're going to be working off of for the campaign until we are able to really respec into the endgame version with a staff and utilize things like this additional projectiles cluster here. But essentially from here, you just, anything that you can do to get yourself damage, you can swap off of, some of the damage nodes and make them your weapon slot 1 nodes, like so. You can start picking up these exposure effect nodes here. If you're having issues with mana, you can start coming over here and grabbing mana cost efficiency as well. But basically, depending on what kind of gear you get, just pick up nodes on the tree along the way that will supplement what you need. Let's get into gear. Actually, before that, I will say, whenever we are able to get Trials of Chaos, our second Ascendancy, I would spec out of these guys and go straight into Bedat's Will. And as soon as you get Bedat's Will, you can also take advantage of Pain Attunement and Final Barrage, in addition to slapping Execute 3 on your Spell Totem, and that's going to be a huge, huge DPS increase. Once you start getting some more crit as well, you can take advantage of Cut to the Bone, and that will be a very large DPS increase, but you do need to have a decent amount of crit to make it worthwhile. It's a decent amount of points there to utilize the armor break. So let's talk about items a little bit. The uniques that carried me were either the Pariah's Embrace, this guy here, or Enfolding Dawn. So both of these are really good, and I actually swapped between them quite a bit. Pariah's Embrace has half as much spirit at 50, but it does have increased mana cost efficiency, and that by itself is worth quite a lot. If you are at a point, for me personally, what I did was, if I was in between spirit, like I didn't have enough to summon another totem, and it wasn't going to make or break anything, I would swap to Pariah's Embrace, or actually during leveling, I suppose, until you get level 23 spell totem. If you have enough spirit to make 4 totems, and if you want your blasphemy set up at that point, if you already have enough spirit, then you don't really need the extra 100 from Enfolding Dawn. I would go Pariah's Embrace. But Enfolding Dawn will just give you a ton of spirit, so really, really good chess piece to just take you the whole way if you don't want to deal with swapping at all. As far as weapons go, because this is going to be more important for us during leveling process, really we're just looking for this. Level of physical spell skills is king, and then literally anything else is fine. Cast speed is great, crit is great for your suffixes. Any combination of damage gained as spell damage or spell physical damage, that's great. Literally, as long as it's got some plus level of spell skills, or physical spell skills, or all spell skills, which I would recommend early on as well for spell totem levels, just to get your additional totems as soon as possible. And then, of course, the Scepter. So Scepter is pretty simple for us. We're looking for anything with 1 or a combination of spirit percentage. Again, while we're leveling, spirit's going to be really tough to come by, especially before we get Behdad's Will. So this is going to basically just carry our spirit needs for the majority of the campaign, along with Enfolding Dawn and Pariah's Embrace. And then, other than this, really, I just went for, if I could find mana regen, or literally just strength and int. These are all great supplementary stats. You're not going to really make use of anything else, so that's kind of what we're looking for our offhand. Once we are able to get through campaign and get to our staff, which I'll go ahead and just show you what you're kind of looking for staff-wise. Early on, what I did was I found a staff, like just a rare staff with cast speed and a crit stat. So, or I'm sorry, wait, no, sorry, mistaken. Cast speed and a decent stat in the prefix, ideally spell damage. But any of the damage gained as would work as well. Really what we're looking for is a rare staff that has essentially 2 open suffixes and cast speed, and at least 1 decent prefix. That's what we're looking for, that's what you're searching for. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a sinistral, why can I not think of the crystallization? Sinistral crystallization, and we're gonna roll off. Let's say you had spell damage and like mana, which is very common that you're gonna have mana on here. It's a 50-50 chance that you roll off the mana, and you'll be able to get +5 to all spell skills. So that is just a perfect essence of sorcery, and that is basically, if you have this, you're set. And then you can just use a Dextral Necromancy Omen with a Ulamon modifier Omen. I can't remember exactly what those are called. And that will guarantee that you're going to get the, what is it called? The additional projectiles. So we do Desecrated, and let's see. It's somewhere in here. Fire 2 additional projectiles. There you go. So that's an Ulamon's suffix. You can get up to 35. 35, obviously ideal. That will allow us to save a lot of points on the tree if we get to 35. But from here, essentially, if you rolled off the mana, you would have a staff that looks like this, which That by itself, hey, that's going to carry you literally to T15 maps. From here, you can use, +1 spell skill rune, along with Thane Gert's rune, which is the additional projectiles. I have no idea where this would be, but there we go. So, those two runes with these stats, and you are golden. Both of these runes are extremely cheap. You can get them for next to nothing. So, the base, very cheap, and the crafting method, very cheap. And again, this will take you all the way. You can literally just double slam, and if you get lucky and you don't hit mana, literally any other combination, if you get hybrid spell damage and you get one of the damage gained as, like, what a staff. That's going to take you so far until eventually you craft something more endgame focused like the one that I have in the video. But the +5 to level of all spell skills will affect the spell totem and get you to level 23 on that a lot earlier and cheaper. So you can essentially use this to buff up your spell totem and your Bonestorm until eventually you're going to want to really min-max and get +7 to level of what can I think of the words? +7 to level of physical. Jeez, physical spells. Another thing that you can do here as well, that will be later on, if you do get a physical spell staff. So let's say this is a fire staff, but let's say you have one that is +7. If you were able to roll off the mana, let's say you had mana on a prefix and we rolled off the mana, you could use an alloy of, what is it called? A celestial alloy. And that would give you +1 level of all spell skills in the prefix as well. That is very, very strong. I did not do that for the one that I'm wearing, but if you're really looking to min-max, you could get a +7 fizz suffix, +1 all spell skills prefix, and then you could also, there's a +2 spell skills rune as well. So you could go nuts with the staff, really. Mine is really good, but it's nowhere near min-maxed. There's still a lot of damage that you can work out with this character, but that should be generally what you're looking for and what you're looking to do as far as the skill tree and the items go. Last thing I'll leave you with is I've had a lot of people question the links, so I will show you the order in which we will be wanting to add these links. So obviously Spell Totem and Bonestorm is the skill, but multi-shot is where everybody is kind of missing out. So a lot of people are using rapid casting or thinking that Urgent Totems is enough cast speed. The way that Bonestorm works is that additional projectiles don't apply like they kind of do in a normal sense. What they do is they add the additional projectiles to the cast. So if you're seeing your spell totem shooting super slow, that's because they're shooting they're casting one projectile 20 times to release a volley of 20 splinters. What multi-shot does is each cast gets 2 additional projectiles. So until we can get a staff, like I just showed you, that has the additional projectiles, what this does is it makes it go from 1 to 3. So instead of 20 casts of a single projectile, you're getting 7 casts of 3 projectiles. That will significantly lower the amount of casting that you need to do, which means less cast time. After this, we're going to go for Urgent Totems, and by the point that you get a 5th slot, you probably can put on Execute 3 once you're low life. And then the last slot, for me, I used Efficiency, but if you are less spammy with your totems, then you can probably remove that, go for another damage slot. There is a support that the name is eluding me right now, but it gives you chaos damage gained as. I'm sorry, it's gained as chaos damage. And the downside is that you lose life whenever you cast with it. Fun fact, again, totems are you, but they're not you, kind of. So they can get the 35 or whatever percent gained as chaos without the downside of you losing a percentage of your life whenever you cast. So honorable mention there, that one's really good. And easy if you just want to throw something on, but there's plenty of other options as well. Just use whatever suits you. Otherwise, I'd say efficiency is just nice for being comfy while you play and not running out of mana. I think that'll do it for this video. If you have any other additional questions, let me know. But I think I covered most of the leveling tips. But if yeah, like I said, just leave a comment. I'll reply with any questions you've got. And happy leveling, and stay sane, Exiles.